Beneath the veneer of skepticism, reality bears witness to chilling truths. In the haunting corridors of history, where shadows dance with undeniable evidence, remember this, the stories are true. Prepare for a revelation. Where the supernatural is stripped of fiction, and the unknown is laid bare, are you ready to confront the undeniable? The stories are true, and the echoes of reality await.
All right, buckle up because I'm about to take you on a journey through the twisted halls of Carbrook Hall, where the ghosts are as lively as the caffeine addicts waiting in line at Starbucks. Picture this, you walk through the creaky old door, and suddenly you're transported back in time, back to the days when this place was more pub than coffee joint. The atmosphere hits you like a ghostly chill as you take in the ancient oak walls, feeling like you've stumbled into the set of a horror movie. But hey, don't worry, we're just here for the spooky fun, right? Now let's talk about the regulars. And I don't mean the living kind. There's this one spectral fella, an old-timer who's been haunting the bar since before Starbucks even dreamed of taking over. Legend has it, he's sitting there, pint in hand, looking like death warmed over, but having a grand old time nonetheless. You try to strike up a conversation, thinking maybe he'll share a ghostly tale or two, but before you can say boo, he vanishes into thin air faster than you can say double shot espresso. But wait, it gets even creepier. Some brave souls claim to have heard the faint sound of children's laughter echoing through the halls in the dead of night. Yeah, nothing like the giggles of ghostly kiddos to keep you on your toes. And those footsteps? They're not just your average creaks and groans of an old building settling in for the night. No, they're like death's own drumroll, announcing the arrival of who knows what lurking in the shadows. So, if you're feeling adventurous and in need of a caffeine fix, why not swing by Carbrook Hall? Grab yourself a coffee and see if you can spot any death-like drinkers or spectral kiddos. Just don't say I didn't warn you if things start to get a little too spooky for comfort. Welcome to Carbrook Hall, where even the ghosts need their morning pick-me-up, and the only thing scarier than the spirits is the price of a venti latte.
So, picture this, out in a field near Heath, about 1.5 miles east of Wakefield city centre, stands Dame Mary Bolles water tower. Now, this ain't your ordinary water tower. It's got history, it's got spookiness, and it's listed as Grade 2, which I reckon is like getting a participation trophy but for buildings. Back in the 17th century, when fancy water towers were all the rage, this 5-stage beauty was built next to Heath Old Hall. Legend has it that it was powered by a natural spring and a water wheel, serving up fresh water to the hall like it was going out of style. Now, the dame herself, Mary turned Bolles, had a life story that could rival any soap opera. Her dad bit the dust when she was just a teen, and then some poor woman named Mary Pannell got the short end of the stick when folks accused her of witchcraft, and after talk about an ornery start to life. But Dame Mary wasn't one to let life's curveballs knock her down. No, she married into wealth, snagged herself a fancy title from King Charles I, skin her a baroness when that wasn't even a thing in England, and apparently had a side gig in witchcraft. Can you imagine? 1 minute you're brewing potions, the next you're getting knighted by the king. Now, when Dame Mary passed on in 1662, she left behind a bit of a mystery. Her will demanded that the room where she kicked the bucket be sealed up tight, and they actually did it. For 50 whole years, that room sat there like a time capsule. But when they finally cracked it open, folks started seeing things, like Dame Mary's ghost roaming the heath, probably wondering why they didn't just leave her room alone in the first place. Fast forward to today, and you've got ghost hunters flocking to the water tower like it's Black Friday at the haunted house store. The locals are either brave souls or just plain crazy, venturing inside to see if they can catch a glimpse of Dame Mary's spirit doing a little spectral salsa. But here's the kicker, they've even got her bedroom door on display at the Wakefield Museum. Imagine being so famous for your ghostly antics that they stick your door in a museum. Talk about making an entrance. Sure, the tower might be a bit worse for wear, with nettles and brambles doing their best to reclaim it, but it's still standing strong. And who knows, maybe Dame Mary's up there somewhere, brewing potions and plotting her next ghostly appearance. But hey, if you ever find yourself near Heath and you're feeling brave, why not pay her a visit? Just don't forget your ghost repellent and a healthy dose of skepticism. You never know what kind of ornery spirits you might encounter.
All right, buckle up because I'm about to spill the beans on the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, and let me tell you, it's not just any old hotel, it's like a Hollywood time capsule with a dash of spookiness and a sprinkle of glam. Legend has it that the ghost of Marilyn Monroe still roams around her old stomping grounds there. And get this, there was this famous mirror in the lobby where folks would snap pictures, claiming they could see Marilyn's reflection hovering above them. Classic Hollywood drama, right? But guess what? They removed that mirror from the lobby. I mean, talk about killjoys, am I right? Now, on to the 9th floor, where you can supposedly hear the ghostly tunes of the late actor Montgomery Clift practicing on his trumpet. I mean, imagine being a guest and calling the front desk to complain about the noise, only to find out the room next door is vacant. It's like a ghost orchestra up in there. And that's not all. The lights flicker, the faucets turn on and off on their own, and the switchboard gets calls from empty rooms. I tell ya, it's enough to make even the most sanguine guest a bit jittery. But wait, there's more. Flashback to 1929, when the very first Academy Award ceremony was held right there in the Roosevelt. Can you believe it? It wasn't like the glitzy affairs we see today, oh no. This was a private gala dinner followed by a quick 15-minute presentation. I mean, they didn't even broadcast it on TV or radio. Talk about old-school Hollywood charm. And let's not forget the hotel's guest list. It's like a who's who of classic Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe, Charlie Chaplin, Clark Gable, you name it. They've probably graced the halls of the Roosevelt. It's like stepping back in time to the golden era, right in the heart of Los Angeles. So, if you're ever in town and feeling brave, why not check in and see if you can catch a glimpse of Marilyn's ghost, or hear Montgomery Clift's phantom trumpet serenade. Just don't blame me if you end up sleeping with the lights on.
This nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning.
All right, gather around, folks, and let me tell you a tale as twisted as a pretzel at a yoga retreat. Back in the golden days of Hollywood, when it was still Hollywoodland, that famous sign wasn't just a beacon for dreams and celluloid fantasies. Oh no. It was also a magnet for some phantasmal shenanigans. Picture this, a Broadway starlet named Peg Entwistle, with more drama in her life than a soap opera marathon. Now, Peg, bless her heart, had a knack for attracting trouble like a magnet attracts metal shavings. Raised by her thespian dad, she had a childhood that would make Dickens shed a tear, losing not one, but 2 moms early on, and dealing with more broken relationships than a clumsy pottery maker. But wait, there's more. Despite her talents as an actress, Peg found herself stuck in the role of comedic sidekick, forever typecast as the ingenue who couldn't catch a break bigger than a fortune cookie at a diet convention. Sure, she shared the stage with the legendary Humphrey Bogart, but her film roles were smaller than a chihuahua in a Great Dane's world. Fast forward to September 18th, 1932, and we've got ourselves a real Hollywood whodunit. A hiker stumbles upon Peg's crumpled body in a ravine below the sign. Police put 2 and 2 together, or should I say H and fall, surmising she climbed a workman's ladder and took a leap that would make Evil Knievel sweat. But here's where the story takes a ghostly turn. Visitors to the area swear they still catch a glimpse of Peg, haunting the sign like a VIP at an afterlife party. And if that's not enough to send chills down your spine, some claim to pick up the scent of her gardenia perfume, as if she's still making her presence known from beyond the grave. Talk about a Hollywood ending, am I right? Gather around, my fellow thrill-seekers, for I have a tale that'll twist your funny bone into knots and send shivers down your spine faster than you can say cantankerous. Picture this. Before the Sunset Strip transformed into the laughter-filled haven we know today, there stood Ciro's restaurant, a glamorous hotspot that defined Hollywood's golden era in the swinging 40s and 50s. But hold on to your fedoras, because behind the glitz and glam lurked a dark secret. This joint had ties to the mob that ran deeper than a secret handshake in a speakeasy. Yep, you heard me right. The owners of Ciro's were rubbing shoulders with the mafia, and the building itself was a veritable fortress of secrets, complete with peepholes in the walls that could make any private eye green with envy. Those peepholes weren't just for show, my friends. They were the mafia's eyes and ears, keeping tabs on every Tom, Dick, and Harry who dared step foot inside. And speaking of daring, enter Mickey, the king of the Sunset Strip, Cohen, strutting around like he owned the joint, because, well, he kinda did. But let me tell you, West Hollywood in those days wasn't all red carpets and movie stars. It was more like a scene straight out of a gangster flick, with gunfights erupting in the streets and drama simmering beneath the surface. Now hold on to your hats, because here's where it gets juicy. Deep within the bowels of Ciro's lay a secret so dark, so sinister, it'd make Al Capone himself think twice. Legend has it that the basement was the mob's personal playground, a place where they'd whisk away their, shall we say, and let's just say they didn't play patty cake down there. There's even a staircase with a hole perfectly sized for a gun. Talk about a smoking gun, am I right? But wait, it gets even spookier. Employees of the Comedy Store, as it's known today, swear they've heard things that'll make your hair stand on end, echoing from the depths of that basement. We're talking voices in the dead of night, cries that send chills down your spine. And yes, even that'll make you question whether you're in a comedy club or a horror movie. After years of brushing off these ghostly tales like yesterday's leftovers, the Comedy Store finally decided to embrace its haunted history, offering tours of the basement that'll make even the bravest souls quiver in their boots. Who knew laughs and chills could go hand in hand? So if you're ever strolling down Sunset Strip and feeling brave, or maybe just a little foolish, why not take a trip down memory lane? Just watch out for any cantankerous spirits lurking in the shadows, eager to add a little boo to your ha-ha. Ah, gather round, ye who seek a spine-tingling tale. Have you ever heard the woeful legend of Dona Petronilla? It's a yarn spun by the illustrious scribe Michael Imlay and the fine folks over at Creepy LA. A tale so hauntingly delightful, it warrants retelling each season. Picture this. In the waning years of the 1800s, the affluent Don Antonio Feliz met his untimely demise courtesy of the dreaded smallpox. But the plot thickens. His dear niece, the fair Dona, a mere 17 springs old, found herself swindled out of her uncle's fortune by conniving kin. In her anguish, she unleashed a hex upon the land and its heirs, a curse that would echo through the ages. Since that fateful day, misfortune has trailed the land's proprietors like a faithful hound. Even the infamous Griffith J. Griffith, its final proprietor, found himself embroiled in calamity. Not only did he bequeath a staggering 3,105 acres to the city, but he also found himself in the most scandalous of predicaments, behind bars for an unfortunate incident involving his firearm and his dearly wedded wife. Now, brace yourselves for the eerie part. Those who swear by the tale claim to have glimpsed the specter of young Donna herself, clad in a gown as white as moonlight, galloping through the misty trails astride a spectral steed. Ah, but the whispers of the park rangers, cries Thomas Davy, our intrepid security officer of Griffith Park. They speak of apparitions and otherworldly occurrences. Yet in all my years, 4.5 to be exact, I've yet to lay eyes on a ghostly wisp myself. Oh, the mysteries that enshroud us, like cobwebs in the attic of time. But beware, dear listener, should you wander those haunted trails of Griffith Park, lest you find yourself face to face with the ghostly visage of Donna Petronilla herself and her ancient curse come to life. So, imagine this. Back in 1598, Sir Henry Griffith decides he wants to build himself a fancy Elizabethan manor house. He's probably thinking, oh, it'll be grand. People will come from far and wide just to marvel at its splendor. And thus, Burton Agnes Hall is born, complete with its lavish architecture and stunning gardens. Enter Anne, Sir Henry's unfortunate daughter. Now, Anne had a bit of a rough go of it. In 1620, she was just minding her own business, probably frolicking through the gardens or planning her next grand soiree, when tragedy struck. She was attacked and killed, leaving behind a grieving family and a whole lot of unfinished business. But here's where things take a turn for the spooky. Before Anne shuffled off this mortal coil, she made a rather peculiar request. She told her family that she could never truly rest unless a part of her remained in her beloved home. Sounds innocent enough, right? Well, here's the kicker. Her chosen keepsake was her own severed head. Yep, you heard me right. Anne was adamant that her noggin should stay put in Burton Agnes Hall for all eternity. Now, as you can imagine, this caused quite the stir among the Griffith clan. But being the dutiful family they were, they obliged. They popped Anne's skull into the house, hoping it would keep her spirit at bay,
and for a while it seemed to do the trick. But here's where it gets even spookier. Whenever someone tried to remove the skull, all hell would break loose. I'm talking loud noises, strange happenings, basically your classic haunted house shenanigans. But wait, there's more. Turns out Anne's ghostly antics weren't just confined to the confines of the hall. Oh no, she had a habit of popping up all over the place, terrorizing anyone who dared to cross her path. Traumatized by their spectral sibling, Anne's sisters sought the help of a vicar. Together, they hatched a plan to put her restless spirit to rest once and for all. They dug up Anne's grave, retrieved her skull, and brought it back inside the house where it belonged. And wouldn't you know it, things calmed down pretty quickly after that. As long as Anne's skull stays right where it is, Burton Agnes Hall remains a relatively peaceful place. And Anne keeps her distance, thank goodness for small mercies, right? So there you have it, folks. The tale of Burton Agnes Hall, where the architecture is stunning, the gardens are breathtaking, and the ghostly shenanigans are enough to make your hair stand on end. And all because one young lady had a rather peculiar attachment to her own cranium. Ah, the things we do for family, eh? Ah, gather round, my fine feathered friend, for I've a tale as old as time itself, or at least as old as Scarborough Castle, nestled snugly on the Yorkshire coast like a forgotten treasure chest. Now picture this, a towering fortress, perched precariously on a craggy headland, its stones soaked in history, and perhaps a splash of blood for good measure. Legend has it, amidst the salty sea air and the cries of gulls, lurks the restless spirit of none other than Piers Gaveston, Earl of Cornwall, and bosom buddy to King Edward II. Oh, but here's the kicker. Old Piers is missing a noggin. Yes, you heard me right, his headless form is said to roam the castle's shadows, causing unsuspecting tourists to take an impromptu tumble down the cliffside, landing amidst discarded fish and chip wrappers. Talk about a fright fit to curdle the stoutest of hearts. Now, why this spectral fellow chooses to haunt Scarborough Castle of all places is a mystery as confounding as a riddle wrapped in an enigma. I mean, the poor chap met his grisly end, a good 180 miles away in Warwickshire, where he was unceremoniously beheaded and skewered like a medieval shish kebab on Blacklow Hill. One can't help but wonder if he simply prefers the briny breeze and the squawk of seagulls to the dreary Midlands. But wait, there's more. After the dust settled from the English Civil War, Scarborough Castle became a rather dreary abode for ne'er-do-wells, serving as a prison for those unfortunate souls on the wrong side of the law. And lo and behold, it's said that even in death, these erstwhile inmates couldn't resist a stroll along the beach. Yes, my friend, ghosts apparently fancy a paddle now and then, much to the chagrin of unsuspecting beachgoers. So the next time you find yourself wandering the battlements of Scarborough Castle, keep a weather eye out for old Piers and his headless antics. And should you hear a spectral whisper, or feel a cold breath upon your neck, just remember, it's all in good jest. Or is it?
Gather round, folks, because I've got a tale to spin that'll have you on the edge of your seat, straight from the depths of the Pantages Theatre's shadowy past. Now imagine the golden age of Hollywood, with Howard Hughes, the smooth-talking businessman extraordinaire, at the helm of the legendary Pantages Theatre. This man was so suave, he could charm the socks off a snake. And guess what? He had a little secret up his impeccably tailored sleeve, a secret door, hidden away in his office, that led straight to a balcony in the theatre itself. Why? Well, legend has it that old Howard liked to do his scheming and plotting in the dark, surrounded by the hushed whispers of the theatre's storied past. Some say he fancied himself a mysterious nocturnal maestro, conducting his affairs under the cloak of darkness. But here's where things take a spine-chilling turn. Even in death, Howard couldn't shake off his insatiable work ethic. His ghostly apparition has been spotted prowling the corridors of his former office on the second floor, still calling the shots and keeping a watchful eye over his beloved theatre. I mean, talk about dedication to the job. You've got to hand it to the guy. Even in the afterlife, he's still pulling strings and making deals from beyond the grave. Now, fast forward to the turn of the millennium, when the Pantages underwent a massive restoration project. That's when things really started to get eerie. Workers reported seeing a mysterious figure stepping off that balcony, strutting along the scaffolding like it was their own personal catwalk, and then hovering over unsuspecting laborers, scrutinizing their every move with spectral intensity. And when one brave soul finally mustered the courage to confront the phantom intruder, they were met with nothing but empty air, Howard's ghostly presence fading into the ether, leaving behind only a chill in the air and a sense of unease. But hold on to your hats, because the Pantages Theatre isn't just haunted by one restless spirit, it's got its own leading lady ghost too. Legend has it that she met her untimely demise during a show back in 1932, her dreams of stardom tragically cut short. And to this day, her spectral voice still echoes through the hallowed halls of the theatre, her ethereal melodies serenading empty seats and ghostly patrons alike. It's as if she's trapped between worlds, forever chasing the spotlight and longing for the applause that eluded her in life. So, there you have it, my friends. The chilling saga of the Pantages Theatre, where Howard Hughes' ghost still roams the corridors, and a spectral songstress haunts the stage, turning each performance into a spine-tingling spectacle unlike anything you've ever seen. Welcome to the world of the paranormal, where the show never ends and the ghosts are always waiting in the wings.
Or gather round, my brave souls, and let me regale you with tales of room 333 at the illustrious Langham Hotel in Marylebone. Picture this, a room so haunted, even the most skeptical journalists have been spooked out of their wits. Yes, folks, we're talking about ghosts aplenty, not just your run-of-the-mill specters, mind you, but a whole array of eerie apparitions that'll make your hair stand on end like a frightened hedgehog. Now, who in their right mind wouldn't relish the chance to cozy up in a haunted hotel room? But before you rush off to book your stay, let me paint you a vivid picture of the phantoms that call room 333 their spectral stomping grounds. First up, we've got a dashing Victorian gent, a doctor no less, who tragically ended his honeymoon with a murderous twist. Can you imagine? Silver-haired, cloak-clad, and with eyes as vacant as an abandoned mansion, he's been known to make his ghostly rounds in October, giving unsuspecting guests the fright of their lives. But wait, there's more. A beefy German prince with a penchant for early morning strolls through walls, a man with a ghastly wound haunting the hallways, and even Emperor Napoleon III himself, seeking refuge in the hotel's basement in his twilight days. And let's not forget the mischievous spirit who delights in tipping sleeping guests out of their beds, like some spectral prankster with a morbid sense of humour, rumour has it. One poor soul was so terrified by the ghostly bed shaking that they fled the premises faster than you can say boo. But it's not just the guests who have stories to tell. Oh no, the Langham staff have had their fair share of encounters too, from a butler in holy socks to a footman decked out in powdered wig and pale blue livery, their presence often heralded by a bone-chilling drop in temperature. So, my brave adventurers, are you ready to test your mettle against the phantoms of room 333? Or will you join me in the safety of the nearest non-haunted establishment, where the only thing haunting us is the possibility of a mediocre continental breakfast? Thanks for joining us on this eerie adventure. If you enjoyed the chills, don't forget to subscribe. More mysteries await. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay curious.